Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Vade, aka Pro Benchwarmer, and welcome back to another episode of Box Benchwarmers, the series where we discuss every incomplete archetype and Duel Links, their relative history within our meta, and what cards do they need to become competitive. Now, if you're enjoying this series, hit that like button and subscribe for more weekly content. Now, today's video, I wanted to discuss some main deck gimmicks that people have been suggesting to me as archetypes. So, to preface, main deck gimmicks are card types that Konami made to shift up how we use our monster cards. These gimmicks require entire decks built around them and usually didn't pay off in the end. In Duel Links, these gimmicks don't exist in specific archetypes like standalone, but for the sake of trying to make them better, we're going to condense them into archetypes because that's what works for Duel Links. The ones we're going to be talking about today are Geminis, Spirits, and Unions. Shoutouts to Watt for actually starting me on my research quest for this video, since he was the first person to suggest me Geminis, and we talked about it on Twitter. But now we're gonna start off with Geminis. So Geminis are monsters that all share the same card text that declares them as normal monsters when on the field or in the graveyard, and require another normal summon in order for them to get their effects. Usually these effects are very underwhelming at best. However, sometimes we get some rare good effects. The most meta-relevant Gemini monsters in Duel Links were Heavy Knight of the Flame and Ill Blood. Ill Blood during the time where we got a lot of zombie support, and a supervised Ill Blood deck actually was made, and Heavy Knight of the Flame because they banished special summon monsters in a time where Toon, Red Eyes, and Sacred Phoenix were the best decks to be played on Duel Links. Having a monster that you just maybe gotta wait a turn, or if you're playing supervised along with it, goes onto the field and just banishes your opponent's boss monster is definitely a good look, especially in Duel Links with a smaller deck. Aside from Heavy Knight and Ill Blood, Gemini saw some play with their fusion, Super Alloy Beast Raptinus, granting Geminis their effect instantly, but that deck was super clunky, and as quick as it came in, it left our meta. What we need to make Geminis better is actually this card right here, Catalyst Field. Catalyst Field is a field spell card that allows you to, matter of fact, let me read it before I actually interpret the field spell. It says, each turn, one level 5 or higher Gemini monster you normal summon can be summoned without a tribute. Great. During your main phase, you can normal summon one Gemini monster in addition to your normal summoner set. Fantastic. You can only gain this effect once per turn. Alright. Once per turn, you can target one card your opponent controls, banish one Gemini monster you control that is treated as an effect monster and has gained its effects until your opponent's end phase, and if you do, destroy that target. That is a fantastic effect within a field spell. It allows you to actually utilize Geminis, which is great, and it's generic. However, we're going to condense this into an archetype, as I said, because archetypes just work in Duel Links, and this field spell is actually made for Chemic Critters, and we have Chemic Critters through Bastion's level up. We got Hydron Hawk and Carbo Crab, which are really good Gemini monsters, but you have to wait in order to get their really good effects. And we also have their other their boss monster that's 2800 attack that lets you banish a Gemini from the graveyard to destroy a card on the field. These are fantastic cards, but we're also missing this card right here, Ox, which allows you to get another summon of a Gemini monster in your hand. It's pretty weak in attack, well, it has literally no attack, but with the field spell and Ox and the other Chemic Critters we have, we can actually now make a Gemini Chemic Critter deck. Wow, that's a really hard word to say for a person like me who has a lisp, but we can actually make a Gemini Chemic Critter deck and actually be functioning, maybe tier 3, because of their effects are really good at searching and putting cards in your graveyard. Also with additional cards maybe like Unleash Your Power, Gemini Spark, or maybe cards like Burnout for Chemic Critters, we can actually make Geminis actually competitive. Maybe tier 3, maybe tier 2, but being on the tier list from being nowhere on the tier list at all is actually fantastic. This moves us on to Spirit Monsters. Spirit Monsters all share the same card text that states that they cannot be special summoned and must return to the hand in the end phase. Because of this, they move rather slow and establish no board presence while doing so. this inherently screams a bad deck. However, their effects are so interesting that some people still tried to play spirits as they came out in Duel Links. They had really no history within our meta except for Inaba White Rabbit in burn decks, and maybe if you try to play a spirit deck or a fairy deck and ran Asura Priest to attack all your monsters and all your opponent's monsters. So in order to make spirits workable, I feel like we should get the Shino birds. Now let me pull up the Shino bird right here. Shino Baroness Peacock and Shino Baron Peacock, because they actually do something for spirits. They actually make them somewhat competitive. They scare your opponent, because Shino Baroness Peacock, let me read the effect. You can only ritual summon with this card with Shino Bird Calling, which is their ritual spell. Must be ritual summon. Cannot be special summoned in any other ways because they cannot be special summoned. You can shuffle up to 3 spell traps in your opponent's that your opponent controls into their deck. Then you can special summon 1 level 4 lower spirit monster from your deck. That is fantastic. And then during the end phase, it goes back to the hand, but it replaces itself with 2 Shino Bird tokens that are the same level, type, and attack and defense points as Shino Bird Crane. So this is really good because it's not targeting just sending cards back into the deck with spell and trap and then special summoning a monster from the deck going in for that OTK. I think that's really good, and you know, it takes a lot of cards, but Shino Bird Calling can use spirits in the graveyard, banish them in order to get Shino Baroness Peacock onto the field. That is really, really good. And Shino Baron Peacock is fantastic because it just shuffles 3 monsters on your opponent's side of the field back into the deck. No targeting, so it just literally, that fur hired build that you just put onto the field, just send those back into the deck, and I get 2 monsters on my side of the field and just turn your whole advantage back on you, which is fantastic. However, Shino Baron special summons from the hand, Shino Baroness special summons from the deck, and you still have to deal with, well, you shuffled back the monsters, you still have to deal with the spell and trap, or you shuffled back the spell and trap, you still have to deal with the monsters. I think that would make Shino Birds balanced in Duel Links, but it would make spirits go from rotting away in the card catalog to actually being played in the meta, which would be fantastic to observe, because through Shino Bird Power Spot, they can gain a lot of advantage. Whenever the wind spirits go back to the hand, you can search your deck for another spirit monster, so you can actually get Shino Bird Peacock, Shino Baron Peacock, and Shino Baroness Peacock back onto the field. They can also be used with Urgent Ritual Art. It's just, I'm thinking a lot into this. And also with this card that they have, Shino Bird Salvation, actually protects their spirits from protects you from getting bodied, since you have no field presence. It says face up spirit monster which controls that you control goes back to the hand. You can pop one of your opponent's card. That's amazing. And when your opponent declares an attack, you can banish a spirit monster from your graveyard, negate that attack and end the battle phase. That is so good. That is so good, especially with this deck. And now that moves us on to Union Monsters. Union Monsters all share the same card tech that state that they can equip themselves to the appropriate monster on the field, and that monster gains additional effects plus protection. Most of the times it takes 2 turns to get and 2 normal summons to accomplish what a monster and equip spell can do in 1 turn. You feel you summon a monster, you summon the Union the next turn, equip that to the first monster. It's like you have 1 monster on the field, but it's new and improved with the Union monster attached to it. It really doesn't net you anything. Now we can look at Big Daddy XYZ Dragon Cannon for giving us an actual Union archetype, which was okay at best, but it's not really that good. It's a pain to get out because X is unsearchable being a normal monster, so you can't actually search it with cards that search out Union monsters, and the other pieces are just very underwhelming. Now when we got B Buster Drake in the card trader, I flipped my shit, because I was like, oh, we're getting ABC Dragon Buster? Please give us ABC, because ABC Dragon Buster would be ridiculous. This card is fantastic. Along with the A Assault Core and C Crush Wyvern, the ABC pieces made Unions an actual an actual deck because it gave it an actual archetype. And these union monsters not only equip themselves to each other, they float when they go into the graveyard. So when they go to the graveyard, you have B that draws out a monster. I believe A special summons from the graveyard and C special summons from the hand. So they can float and generate pluses just by going to the graveyard. And ABC Dragon Buster literally can be special summoned by just banishing these cards either from the field or from the graveyard. Like, that's great. They don't need to all be on the field. If you get all 3 of them in the graveyard, that's an instant Dragon Buster for free. And it banishes cards. You can discard a card and banish a card on the field. And then on your opponent's turn, you can tag this thing out and protect it. It goes, I believe it goes back into the extra deck, or probably goes in the graveyard, I'm not too sure. And you can special summon back out the pieces, which will then float again. That is so good. Oh my god. And I think it would be a little too busted for Duel Links. I'm not saying that, you know, unions need this. They need this to become competitive, but there's no way I want to deal with an ABC Dragon Buster on the field. There's no way I want to deal with that. No way, no how. However, it would be even more busted if they gave us Union Hanger. Understand, Union Hanger is a 1-card Dragon Buster. When this card is activated, you can add 1 light machine type Union monster from your deck to your hand. So it literally replaces itself when it hits the field. Once per turn, if a light machine type union monster is normal or special summoned to your field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters, equip the appropriate light machine type union monster with a different name from your deck. But the union monster you control cannot be special summoned. That is busted. When you play this, you go with B. B gets equipped with another union monster, and like that's so much generated pluses from there. And when they go to the graveyard, when your opponent attacks your monster and they float and everything, you have a free Dragon Buster right there. That is nasty. That is nasty. But that's what I think that unions need, and all these other main deck gimmicks need to become competitive. I would like to know what you guys think these main deck gimmicks need to become competitive, if they can be competitive at all. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and consider joining my Discord, which should be in the description, because that's where I go asking for help in my research for these videos. With that being said, this video is done. It's a wrap. Peace out.